Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Books and Booze, where the opinionated lushes invite on indie authors to talk about their books while we booze. I'm going to throw it to Dawn to introduce this week's author.
Hi, guys, and welcome. Let's welcome Lori-Anne, and thank you for joining us on Books and Booze today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited to do this.
Awesome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself today, where you're from, how long you've been writing, and any other little secrets you want to give us.
Okay, I am from Massachusetts. I still live in Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. I've probably been writing most of my life, but I didn't actually publish until 2021. But I've been writing this particular book that I'm going to talk about tonight in my head like long before that. And I actually started writing. I don't want to bring the room down to start with, but I actually started writing probably in earnest after my mother died at the end of 2017, because we lived together and I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I was like, well, I'm going to start putting this down on paper. And I wrote it through the first year of the pandemic and then published it in 2021. After I turned 50, my first book was published at 51.
Okay.
See, Dawn, you got time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel a lot of authors came out of the woodwork during the pandemic. They had nothing else to do, and they're just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to write. And
that's
a lot of great stories.
Yeah, I would get on Zoom calls with friends and we would have like, if we wanted to do like any kind of productivity, like even if it was just like cleaning, I guess it's called body doubling, but I didn't know that then. Mm-hmm. Cleaning or writing papers for school. And I was like, well, I'm just going to write this book then, I guess, because it's been in my head for a really long time.
The best stories are always like manifesting for like ever, right? Like, because you have all that time and then you just build and build and build. And then all of a sudden it's like a masterpiece.
Yep. I hope. I would say the core story is what was in my head, but maybe 25% is what I actually kind of wrote in my head. And when I say I wrote it in my head, because I would commute back and forth to work, I wrote it in my head while I was commuting if I wasn't reading.
That's awesome.
No.
Yeah.
Weirdo that I am.
To like remember all those details too. Like I have to write everything down or it's gone.
Yeah,
like
it's
gone. Like I forget it.
I can't just hold on to a thought. And I'm kind of jealous that you were able to hold on to an entire book in your head.
I actually work out scenes that I'm going to write while I'm in bed while I'm falling asleep. While I'm in bed trying to fall asleep, I will start to work out the next scene that I want to write for something.
I've done something similar, but like what I think of, like it's like almost in my dream, and then like I wake up and I have this thought, and then I have to write it down, and then I don't go back to sleep, and that's my problem. So in the morning, I'm just like, all right, like I need to write this down because I'm gonna forget.
It actually helps me fall asleep.
Oh, is it like you get the idea out and that now your brain can relax?
Yeah. Like I'm like, okay, so the next scene in this particular story is this, and how do I want to play it out? And I have forgotten certain lines where I'm like, damn, that was good. I'm so fucking mad at myself now.
Yeah, no, I would be like almost the same. I probably would have went back to bed, but then I have children and they ruin everything. So wait.
I just have a cat.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah. I wish I just had a cat too. I have a dog, a bunny, and a zillion fish, by the way. I have a whole aquarium. And two children that are just 10 years apart. It's insane over in this household.
Oh, I don't know the fish though. When my ex left,
not my responsibility.
When my ex left, I was responsible for the tank because he couldn't take it with him. And I
would be like demanding that in the divorce. Like, you take that shit.
To be fair, he left the state for very good reasons. He was going to rehab.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I guess you can't take the fish to rehab.
Yeah, no, you can't take him to California. So I took care of them. But like every day I'd be like, why won't you just die?
Why can't I flush you?
I couldn't. So finally I was moving from downstairs after my mom died to like an apartment upstairs, and I could not take the fish. And I was like, someone has to come take these fish or I'm going to have to commit fish aside.
It's just be me. If my husband dies, like that will be me. I'll be like, because my husband's the one that it's his aquarium, it's everything, like it's his little hobby. I don't want to take care of fish, so if he dies or leaves me, like I come get it. Like I don't want it.
Have you ever had to change the water in a fish tank?
Fuck no, that's his responsibility. Why would I do
Don't
that?
ever. So I used to watch Paul do it, so I had a pretty good idea how he would do it. He would use this hose to get the, like, you know, the
big,
the
like,
dirty water
tub.
up. Yep, and then put the new water in. But sometimes you suck up fish water
Yep,
in your
and it's all
mouth.
soiled and like
In
it's
your
gross.
mouth. It's disgusting. And every time I did it, I literally wanted to die. Like my mother
Okay, we
would
don't
just be
cipher that way because, like,
Yeah.
ooh.
my mother would just be standing there like, do you need a whiskey shot? What can I do?
Yeah. I need a few, not more than one.
Yeah.
Come in.
That would be amazing, though. Like a good Pavlov, get a shot every time you do something for the fish.
Oh,
Just keep a bottle of
Take
whiskey,
your
like
fish
anytime
water
you're
every 20
feeding
minutes, you'd be
them,
like-
you just take a shot.
I eventually came up with a better way to do it. I was like, I can't do this because I can't suck in any more fish water because I like literally would almost throw up every single time.
Yeah.
Like to all of this, like I could never. That's why I never touch it. Like it's not my project. That's not. No,
That's exactly how
Wise
fair.
woman.
The turtle
Don't
tank.
ever get conned into it. I'm gonna just be like, no, there was a woman on our show once, and she said, don't.
so like, listen, I got advice, okay?
And I
This is not
trust her, and I don't trust you. I would not
I don't
steer
trust
you
him
wrong.
already. Like this just seals the deal. Like it was his idea for the fish tank. I didn't even want it. He was all like, "Hey, listen, autistic kids really like fish," and I was like, "Okay, it's true."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay," because our son is autistic, and we're trying to find ways to like make his life better.
I wasn't laughing at that. It's just like that's his reasoning to get fish. Like, that. I was like, you should get popper toys that do the same thing.
I know. Okay, so this is the con, right? He was all like, "Look, we'll get one beta and that little thing, and that's it." And I was like, "Okay, you get the stupid fish." And I was like, "Okay, you can't live in this little thing. How are you supposed? Like, where's the filtration? Like, you need a system." Which was my dumbass mistake because then he actually got a tank, a 10-gallon tank that needed actual work. And then it went from 10 to 20, and then we got other fish. And like we got guppies, we got just a bunch of stupid fish that we don't need.
This is why you can't encourage men.
We don't do it.
I just want to point out a book boyfriend would never do that.
Right?
No.
You should never create an ecosystem in your living room. Like that was just divorces were mentioned. It was a mess. Okay. And, like, every time he goes to the pet store, it's like he sees a new fish and he's like, "We want that." I'm like, no, you want that. I want no part. And he'll use us to get that fish. He'll be like, "That's a purple fish. You like the color purple? We're bringing that home." And I'm like, fuck. I can't say no to that.
Also, I don't know if you have a freshwater or a saltwater tank.
Freshwater.
Freshwater. Don't ever let him con you into a catfish.
Okay. We actually have.
Do you have one?
No. It's what are they called? There are type of catfish. Quarry catfishes.
Okay.
That's all we have. That's it.
We had a catfish that would literally, like, we'd catfish and angelfish, and they were literally like serial killers. They were literally serial killers.
We have 3 betas.
Yeah.
And like, and like, it's 2 boys, 1 girl.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know how they're coexisting. It's a 20-gallon. It's huge.
It's probably big enough. It was big enough.
And there's lots of hidey spaces. So it's they're doing their thing. They don't attack each other. All is well. So, tell us a little bit about your book. I got sidetracked about fish. Sorry.
I think that was my fault more than anything.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I loved it.
So, my book is called Demon's Consort. There are no fish.
Good.
And it is about 2 people, Anya and Declan, who end up to be fated mates.
Okay.
And he is a demon.
We love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a very different type of demon, whereas he does have a beast, but they're basically like businessmen, kind of like they kind of run a lot of the big cities around the world. They have a
he's
council.
A billionaire, like.
Oh, he's rich. I write about rich men probably because I'm Gen X and there's nothing about me that's rich. And I don't mean to do it. It just sort of happens where somebody pointed out, do you know all of your men always have money? And I'm like, I guess.
Because that's a fantasy. We want money. We want to be like,
we're tired of being poor.
Exactly. Like my vampires have money and my demons have money. It's just the way that it goes.
That's the fantasy right there, is the money. It's not even the men. It's the money.
It's the money. Yeah. And he is fated to take a consort. And Anya has been kind of raised to believe that she is this consort. And when they meet, she's definitely a badass. She is a very kind of prickly, but underneath that, she's got a really big heart because she basically takes all his friends in and all his like employees in, and they become like a found family. Which of course I would write about after my mom died because my friends were my found family. And it was funny because all of my friends were like, am I this person? And I was like, actually, yes, you were.
You wrote it about me. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's really about them meeting and kind of falling in love, creating a family, but also there are outside forces at work to try and hurt them and tear them apart. So they have to kind of figure out like what's going on. And it's it's a snappy little book. It's a little long. I call it a Marvel origin story.
Sonia, you'll love that.
Because it's longer probably than it needs to be, but also you get a lot of good information from it.
Right? Sometimes you need backstory. It's
fine.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to read from the second book because it's gonna be like, what the hell's going on? So yeah.
No, that makes total sense.
There is
I'm
spice.
so excited.
There is spice.
That's for me. The spice is for me.
No, it's good. This is an 18+ podcast, so we love the spice.
Yeah,
here.
I listened to one of your podcasts and someone was reading, I've listened to more than one, but I was listening to one in particular where she was reading like a spicy scene.
Very
spicy. And I was like, oh, okay, so if I chose the spicy scene, that would be okay, but I didn't know I could get through it.
Yeah. It's what you're comfortable with, right? Like whatever chapter you want, whatever, like I love spice. Sonia doesn't really care for it. She's more for the science, so that's all for her field, so it doesn't matter. And
Sonia, science, no sex, just science.
All the science, all the time. So if I start talking to you about atoms and particles, that's just going to get you going.
That will turn her on. It won't be the peen and the vagine. It will be the atoms and the atoms. Like
facts.
Yeah. And then Jessica's like horror fan, right? So like if you got blood and gore, she's all for it. That's what gets her off. Like
that's not what gets me off. Okay.
No, praise does, but
I do have fighting scenes.
Praise while someone's getting gutted. Like,
that would act okay. Maybe that. The running joke is I have a praise kink. So that's.
I mean, I feel you, girl.
Right?
I was writing something. I'm actually writing a vampire novella, and he's Korean, the vampire. So I looked up how to say "good girl" in Korean today.
Nice.
Just have that on repeat for the Google voice.
Were you in my apartment when I did that? Because that's exactly what I did. And that started because I heard someone on TikTok say "good girl," I think in Mandarin, and I like nearly fell out. I said, well, my praise kink is international now.
I like it.
I'm praise kink and bilingual, It's great.
Like all nationalities and languages, just give it to me.
I can tell by your tone that you're praising me.
Yeah. Yes, I am a good girl. Why?
Yeah.
Okay, Sonia, do you have the drink words ready?
I do. Are you ready for them?
I'm ready for them.
All right. They're Declan, Anya, Russian, demon, or so there's demon or demons. So
okay.
Yeah. Or singular or sound.
I didn't want to stop anybody from drinking. Because it was plural.
I love that.
Any S sound. No, I changed it.
Any word that begins with a letter.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay, let me get my drinks ready.
Okay, I'm gonna mute my mic so you don't have to hear my slurping sounds. Apparently, I'm drinking a lot. I don't know.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna be muted, and whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to read when Anya and Declan first meet, and then kind of the aftermath with her best friend Gwen. Anya got up and started walking towards the stairs. Declan sighed and started down the stairs towards a fate that he was determined would not be his. They met in the middle of the dance floor. Anya, she said by way of introduction. Declan, I like that. It suits you. He seemed startled by this. Thank you. You're welcome. She was unsure where to go from here. She was more nervous than she thought she would be, and her instinct was always to babble when she felt like that. And she was working overtime to make sure she didn't do that. I don't mean to be rude, he started. In my experience, people who say that absolutely do mean to be rude. He pulled up short and almost grinned. Well, then, I do mean to be rude. I know who you are, and I know what you're doing here, and you've come for no reason. This will not be happening now or ever, so I'm sorry you got dressed up for no reason. You can take your friend and go now. You're a bit of a dick, huh? Her lips quirked upwards. Honestly, she couldn't blame him. This wasn't going as she planned. I mean, she didn't expect him to fall at her feet, but she had expected a bit more civility, though she appreciated his bluntness. She found herself excited by the prospect of him, and she found banter sexy. His outright refusal to buy into this whole thing actually made her feel better. She also had not expected him to be so gorgeous. The pull she felt could have been attraction, but she didn't think so. The tug, the tingling, felt distinctive. That said, she would not mind climbing him like a ladder one day. She liked to be in control of situations, but right at this moment she wondered if she wasn't punching above her weight. I take it you're not happy to see me? She could see it on his face. His really, really gorgeous, chiseled from marble face. She could feel the heat pulling in her belly. Very perceptive, he answered sarcastically. Jesus, she was beautiful. Not your standard pretty like her friend, but she was everything he'd always liked in a woman. Curvy, redhead with a bit of bite to her. He'd never liked a pushover. Her accent was also doing things to him that he'd really rather not be thinking about right now. Why? Why what? Why are you not pleased to see me? I'm not taking a consort. Are you so sure about that? The huskiness in her voice went right to his groin, and he almost groaned. Declan smiled despite himself. You are not going to change my mind. I am meant to be your consort. Are you going to deny you felt that tug? She felt it and knew he must have felt it as well. Even if there had been no mutual attraction, they'd both still feel that tug and the tingling that went with it. The wheels are in motion and the pull is going to get stronger. We recognized each other straight away. This is not something you can ignore. I'm not just going to go away, she said with a hell of a lot more bravado than she was feeling. False confidence, a big mouth, and tenacity had gotten her through life, and why change that now? Truth be told, she didn't really understand why she was pushing so hard for this. In the end, she'd never force his hand. Not that she thought she could, really. But man, she wasn't sure she'd ever been this attracted to someone she just met before, and she kind of wanted to see where it would go. Maybe she just liked playing with fire. Declan grabbed her hand, and they both gasped at the charge that shot through both of them. Oh, for fuck's sake, Declan muttered, as Anya grinned slowly. Okay, so not only did they have the classic mating pull, but they also had some actual personal chemistry here. There was an absence of sound, though, and at first she wasn't sure why. And she noticed that they were standing still, but the world was going on around them in silence. Nice trick, she said, her voice sounding raspy. What did you just do? I pulled you out of time a bit. You can do that? Obviously. Very cool. Ooh, could she learn to do that? Can all demons do that? Not necessarily, but it's one of my manifested powers. Very flash, I like it. Did you do it for a specific reason, though? He hadn't. It had just kind of happened when he touched her. He had felt electricity move through him, and it had stunned him momentarily. He'd lost control and had pulled him out of sync with the room. He rarely used this power, which might be why it had manifested right then, but it was a lack of control, and he was damned if he was going to admit that. Look around. What do you see? Is this a trick question? No, it's not. What I did not only pulls us out of time, but it also pulls us out of the glamour over the club. You can see it for what it is. A demon's hunting ground. We siphon energy from humans. Declan didn't, and neither did his inner circle. You had discipline, you didn't need to. But he needed her to take the situation seriously, even if it meant frightening her a little. These demons are not siphoning any more than usual, and frankly, I think they're all taking less than's generally allowed. How the fuck can you be aware of all of this? Don't know, I just am. Glamour doesn't work on me. How is that even possible? Your friend's a witch, so I know it doesn't work on her. Did she do something to you? No, she didn't. I don't know why, but I can smell it. The energy siphoning. You are shitting me. I'm not. I can generally pick out demons from humans. I don't know how I can do that either. And you can really just smell the energy being siphoned? I can. I'm used to it. She hadn't been at first, and she hated it. Now it barely bothered her. He sighed. It would be a mistake to romanticize me or the situation. You don't know me. I don't live a normal life. This isn't a fucking fairy tale. This life can be brutal. I can be brutal. I've taken lives. So have I. What's your point? Anya had not meant to share that, but she knew when she was being handed an excuse over an actual reason. Students did it fairly often, so it was something she was good at seeing through. He was just trying to convince himself and put her off at the same time. Her reply had brought him up short. He changed strategy. Ugh, why would you even want to saddle yourself with a demon? Normal life is not something that would work for me. I'm not a demon. He dropped her hand and pulled him back into sync with the rest of the room. This is what you want for yourself? A demon who owns a handful of nightclubs? I think we both know you're so much more than that. She felt the loss of his touch, and it discomfited her more than she was willing to admit. You could do so much better. Look at you. What about me? Do you not actually see it? You glow. You're like a big ball of golden light. He could see it so clearly. This is on top of being absolutely stunning. I have no clue what you're talking about with this light business. I'm one of the least light people I know. But I thank you for the compliment. Your eyesight's obviously going. I'm not even dignifying that with a response, but you have to go. I'm not taking a consort, not even one with your assets. Anya had to stifle the urge to laugh, or scream, or kiss him. She wasn't sure which. She gestured to the dance floor. You don't think I know from your life? You think I don't get darkness and violence? Trust me, if there's anyone who was meant to be the consort, the very equal consort of a demon, it would be me. Every demon in this club knows I'm something different. No one's even tried to siphon energy from me or my friend. Well, that was true. He could see other demons giving her a wide berth as she walked towards him. I would still like to know how you know so much about demons. Natalia Krasnova. He was shocked. How do you know the consort of the demon of Eastern Europe? She's family. A number of generations back, but still family. She was telling the truth. He could see that. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm not. She comes down from my father's bloodline. Demons are not a new concept for me. Most demons and consorts give up their human families after a time. Declan hadn't realized that Natalia and Vlad, it would seem, still kept up with their family. She didn't, and that is only to make it easier when families die. The demons move on. Natalia did not. She's a formidable woman. Despite your family connection, this is not going to happen. I'm sorry, but as I've said, you've come for nothing. He took a deep breath. We will never happen. Saying that caused him physical, actual pain. Saying that was causing him actual physical pain. This was mostly due to the connection. To deny it would cause pain, but he had to admit that his attraction to her played into it as well. Then she smiled. A genuine smile, filled with sweetness and sadness, and he nearly came undone. I'm sure you think that's true, but Declan, she said his name softly, like a prayer. It's simply not. And then against her better judgment, she put her hands on his chest, leaned up, and nipped his lip. She then ran her tongue over where she'd nipped. He opened his mouth in surprise. She began kissing him in earnest. Before he could think about it, one hand grabbed her waist, and the other grasped the back of her neck as he leaned into the kiss. The shock of his hands on her caused her to gasp, and he used the opportunity to sweep his tongue into her mouth, meeting her tongue with his own. Her hands curled into his chest, and she sighed into his mouth. They kissed for a few moments. Then, with much difficulty, she ended the kiss and stepped back. I will see you soon. He started to answer that. No, she wouldn't, but she was gone, lost in a sea of people, and he felt that loss keenly. He had to force himself to not go after her like a randy teenager and carry her up to his office. Well, fuck, he thought. Anya raced over to the bar, slapped some money down, grabbed Gwen, and started to make her way out of the club. Gwen was trying to ask her what was happening, but Anya wasn't answering. On their way out, Anya got jostled by two demons and a human dancing together. Well, not dancing, she thought, as she growled and shoved them out of the way. God damn it, they have rooms for that here. They do? Gwen asked in surprise. They were a block from the club when Gwen ripped her hand free and stopped. Anya, I'm much shorter than you and wearing heels. Please fucking stop. Anya pulled up short. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Holy shitballs, that guy's intense and hot and intense and really hot. He said I was stunning, and then I kissed him. Now she was definitely babbling. It's got to be the hormones. Gwen's eyes widened. I'm sorry. What did you say? Did you say you kissed him on the lips? Anya nodded. You don't kiss anyone. You stabbed the last guy who tried to kiss you. Well, he deserved it. I know, but still, what happened? Gwen hadn't been able to see them and was annoyed she'd missed the kiss. Anne told her friend what had happened, and Gwen made her describe the kiss twice. Was it nice? Was there tongue? Did he have good lips? Yes? Very? Hell yes? Fuck yes. What do we do now? Well, I need a drink and maybe food. Also, a cold shower. 20 minutes later, they were sitting at the back of the Tsarina's house, a Russian restaurant in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. The place was owned by a distant relative on her father's side, and if the name of the place was a bit silly, Anya ignored it because they treated her like a long-lost daughter, something she wasn't used to since her own family hadn't treated her like their child much of the time. Well, her father had, as much as he was able to, but he was often cowed by his wife. Anya wasn't allowed to order from the menu. They just brought her food, a lot of it, and she was never allowed to pay. Every time she walked in, she was enveloped in hugs, and truth be told, she didn't hate it. A bottle of vodka and 2 shot glasses appeared on the table. Thank you, Sasha. Food will be out soon. You'll eat. Getting too skinny. Both of you. Gwen grinned up at him. You're my favorite. He grinned and walked away, muttering and Russian about how thin they were. He's adorable. What is he to you again? Uncle, maybe it's a bit convoluted. Okay, what's next? We eat. It'll be borscht, I bet. You know what I mean. I have no idea. I suppose we'll do the dance. The dance? Yeah, we dance around each other until the pressure gets to be too much, which it will. I assume the thing is now it's complicated for me as well. How so? I didn't expect to have such an intense reaction to him. It's more than him being ridiculously dishy demon. There's the pull. Something else under the surface, though. I expected we could handle this like a business transaction, and now I know that won't do. It will never just be business with us, which will make it even harder for him to accept. We had definite, legitimate chemistry. You know, like normal people. Well, what happens if the pressure gets to be too much? Well, if I'm honest, I'm hoping it means lots of sex. Will you try and see him again? Not sure. I'm going to try and give him some time to process and hopefully come to terms with the idea. Time for me too. Though I'm not holding my breath. When we were tonight is where he spends most of his time. He doesn't visit the other clubs as much. Do you know why? The nature of the other clubs is apparently vastly different. Natalia wouldn't tell me any of this. I had to corral one of her staff. There are demons, older generally, with much unhealthier appetites. It's not common either, but the demon was loath to say much more than that. Got the feeling it wasn't your usual kink or fetishism, like you and I might know. Way darker stuff. All right, I'm going to leave you with that.
Woo! Oh my gosh, I gotta make myself another drink.
Also, because I'm starting to lose my voice. So
No, that's totally great. We were chugging.
Yeah, we were. Eyes are watering.
I say their names a lot. Yeah, I will admit I did that on purpose a little bit.
That's
it wasn't even that. It was like demons and there was lots of kissing there for a little bit, and then Russian. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm just gonna drink this whole time. Thank you.
It was really hard to read it because when I wrote a lot of it, because she is Russian, I would say a lot of her dialogue out loud with a Russian accent to see if it sounded all right. Yeah. So when I was reading it, I just wanted to pop into doing a Russian accent for her or an Irish brogue for him.
I loved it. I loved the dialogue between the characters. It was
great.
Oh yeah, it was funny. Like when they're like making jokes at each other and being like sly with each other and stuff. I was like, I got a genuine chuckle.
Good. Yeah,
good. I was laughing. I almost spit up my drink a couple of times.
If you watch this video,
I was actually trying. I wanted to see your reactions, but I was like, I can't because I'll get distracted.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. This video will be posted on our YouTube channel, and then you can watch it and watch us when we spill and laugh.
My mouth constantly just coming out because I'm laughing as I'm drinking. It was a mess, but I loved it.
I'm glad you loved it. I'm glad I made you spit your drink up. That is music to an author's ears.
So you said you released your you published your first book recently. Does that mean you've published how many books have you published now?
3. So I published Demon's Consort, and then last year I published 2. I published the sequel, Demon's Guardian.
Okay.
And then later in the year, I had been writing for Kindle Vella, and I wrote a vampire thing for Kindle Vella. So once it was done, I released that as a regular release, and that's A Vampire's Kiss, and that's about that's obviously about vampires.
Yeah.
So you're you went from always having the idea of writing but not doing it to just pushing through and writing 3 books in a couple of years.
Yep. And I'm working on a novella now, and I'm working on Demons 3.
That's awesome.
And hopefully maybe later in the year, the sequel to Vampire's Kiss. But I think I want to do a Christmas short story for Demon's Consort as well.
Oh my gosh.
It's a whole coast of characters. Everybody's going to get hopefully their own book and their own love story.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I love Christmas books.
Yeah.
Hallmark. Hey, I read Christmas smut on our live stream. Okay,
I read a lot of Christmas smut last year, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, Christmas smut's where it's at. Apparently,
I read a lot of Krampus smut last year.
Krampus smut. I love it. I love it.
It's funny because here I was. Smut. Well, I was thinking Christmas smut. Maybe the reason it's the only smut I'm kind of about is because you have to be on the nice list.
A little naughty,
but I mean the naughty list could be fun too. But you and I have that praise
I have a praise king.
Yeah, but you and I have that praise gang. Yeah.
How long does it usually take you to complete a novel?
Let's see. It takes me a while because I also have a full-time 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm mostly writing in the evenings or at lunch. So Demon's Consort, I'm not going to use Demon's Consort because that took an inordinately long amount of time. Demon's Guardian, I probably wrote like in about like from soup to nuts, 6 months.
Okay.
Demons 3 is probably going to be about the same. I think it might be quicker if I could just write one thing at a time. But I can't. And what happened is I was writing Demons 3, I was struggling with it, and then I had this dream about this fully tatted, full body tattooed Asian vampire. So then I had to write that.
So just like anytime you have an idea, you just have to like write it out, I guess?
I will, not always. Like I will make notes of ideas to come back to later, or I'll write a little bit of it and move on. This one I just couldn't move on from.
Yeah.
So I think that novella is probably going to release in June.
Ooh.
And I think Demons 3 will probably be out closer to the end of the summer.
Okay. See, that's still very prolific. That's still a lot.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't write that fast. I got like 2 books coming out this year. I don't,
I have 2 books. I actually have 3 books I hope are coming out this year. I think
there you go.
That's really all you can do is hope, right?
I'd really like to get to the sequel to Vampire's Kiss, but I think that might be next year instead. But I'm writing it on Vella, so if people have Kindle Vella, they can read it there as well. But it kind of just depends if I can get out of my own way sometimes.
Yeah.
And if like sometimes it's hard to sit down and write after working like, a 9-10 hour day job.
Yeah.
And I'm single. I can't even imagine if I had kids, how difficult that would be. Like I admire any parent that can do it and publish quickly. I'm not a quick writer. I know there are people who do rapid release. I'm not a rapid release writer.
Yeah.
I published something, I think, last September, maybe, and October, and I haven't published since. Well, not quite true.
I'm still in plotting stages, and I've been at plotting stages for like months now.
Yeah.
So like I totally get it, and it's draining. Like whether it's children or animals or whatever it is, or work or what, like is
housework.
Whatever it is draining.
It is draining. It is, and I can say I have been kind of published this year because the Discord I belong to, the Romance Riot, we actually published an anthology. Called Straighten Your Crown. And it's about strong females and strong friendships, and it's 15 of us, so there's 15 short stories. All of the proceeds go to benefit the National Women's Shelter.
I love that.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
That's available until June, and it's in KU.
We love Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah. Oh, all my stuff will always be in KU because KU saved my life during the pandemic.
Fair. Fair.
I mean, there was a little drama going on TikTok about like a KU strike and that, and I was like devastated. I was like, no, because like I do all my reading on KU. Like Canada is very expensive for books.
Yes.
You're looking at minimum $20 a book.
Yep.
And like we have a lot of stories we want to read. Like we can't afford to spend thousands of dollars to get like whole like
libraries.
It's true. Yeah. Your books are. I have a couple of people who bought books in Canada. I was like, I mean, I would have bought it for you and sent it to you, and it still would have been cheaper. Or you can read it in KU. Like it's really expensive.
But
we
then,
literally went to a bookstore in Vegas. Like here are us 3 girls going to Vegas, and we're like, let's go to a couple bookstores because we went to more than one. We're like, let's buy
we went to the bird one. That one was cool, and then we went to that dragon one. The dragon one was first, but
But that's the thing. It's like if we could we just bought books and then brought them back, and that was like cheaper.
It was cheaper. It was way cheaper than actually buying like from here, because like a minimum is $20 a book, and like you're paying like even maximum like $45-$50 a book, depending
Right.
on the thickness and if it's hardcover and whatnot. Like Canada's expensive.
Yeah. You guys are expensive for books, so I'm always really grateful when I see someone from Canada's bought a book. I was like, thank you, that's so nice. KU.
KU has like saved me, like, because I spend the $10.99 or whatever it is a month, and I read a lot. Ask Jessica. I read at least a book a day. Like I absorb it. Yeah.
My friend Sherry reads about a book a day. She reads very quick, and she's also a writer. The thing is it's to me, it's like, it's fine if you're talking about a KU strike. That must be a nice luxury.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not making money here, really. Yeah. I do it like I'm successful because people are reading my stories, not because I'm making money.
Yeah.
You know?
And it is hard I don't have people that are depending on it as an income, right?
Exactly. Especially indie authors. Indie authors don't always have the luxury of being able to go wide. You know what I mean? Like most of my reads come from KU, and I'm grateful for them. Like I'm perfectly fine if people want to read it in KU and not buy the book. I'm happy about that. That's why I'm in KU.
It's really hard though for indie authors also to get into our public libraries.
Yes.
And
Yes. I've not been able to do that. So
yeah, like a lot of people are like, oh, well, just read from Libby because it's free. And I'm just like, well, a lot of our indie authors that I support personally aren't in my Libby, and I can request it all I want, but if I'm the only one, it's not going to do anything.
Right. I've requested my own books. I can't they haven't added me, so
I've requested a shit ton, but unless you're traditionally published, it is extremely hard to get into libraries.
That's so annoying.
Absolutely, it really is. There's not a lot of avenues for the indie author. Also, indie authors, reviews are love. Even star ratings, even if you just rate the book, that's love to us, because that actually helps us in the Amazon algorithm.
I know that, which I hate that, because
it drives me nuts.
I know, because I hate reviewing on Amazon. First of all, because you have to spend so much money on Amazon, and I've already canceled my Amazon because I don't really use it other than books. So I canceled it.
Do you do Goodreads?
Yeah, right?
I don't do Goodreads much either. So I hear you.
I don't do Amazon, so it's really hard, and I don't read reviews because what I like, someone else won't like. What someone else likes, I won't like. So there's no freaking point in mine. And when I want to write a review, that what I say, 4 other people have said the exact same thing that I'm thinking. So I'm like, I can't do anything that's unique. That I can bring to the table. So what's the point?
Yes. A larger author, somebody maybe Katie Roberts. Yeah. I will give a star rating to, but she doesn't necessarily need my review.
Yeah, true.
So if I do a review, I try and do it for authors that are under a certain number. I star rate every book that I read. If it's on my Kindle, because my Goodreads is attached to my Kindle, and right when you're done your book, it'll be you want to give a star rating. I do the same. And that's fine. That also helps.
Everything gets 5, by the way. I don't even care.
Oh, you're a sweetheart.
5. Because if I finish the book, it's a 5 rating to me. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
If I can't finish the book, you don't deserve a rating, period.
Right.
But if I can finish it, you're a 5 to me. Yeah. I don't care. But I don't write reviews because okay, I want to be a writer. I really do.
I get that.
But writing blurbs and writing
I'm gonna write your blurb. I told you.
Yes, so Jessica's gonna write my blurb because
blurbs are hell.
Yeah,
they're hell. We actually have on the Discord, one of our channels is called Blurbatory because we get help with our blurbs there,
right?
Because it's awful. We can write 50 to 70,000 word books. But you put 3 paragraphs to describe the book, and I couldn't even describe it to you guys, to you ladies. I was I don't know. People fall in love and they have sex.
What do you want?
I feel it's probably It's probably also harder to like write a blurb for your own story because
It
you
is.
know so much information about it
is.
versus if you're writing a blurb for someone else. That's why I told you, Dawn, I would help
Yeah.
you. I can
So-
write 3 paragraphs. That
And she's
sounds
also gonna
about my
narrate.
perfect level.
Because Jessica is a voice actress, so she's going to
Oh.
narrate for me too. Like,
that's
I will
wonderful.
do my best.
Yeah.
That's
so like it's good to know people in high places, right? But like,
That's very true.
like as part as ratings though and stuff, like it is so hard because like, and I don't follow it. What you know what I follow? On TikTok, if I see a video with like aesthetics of a book and I'm like, I would read that.
Yeah.
See that I'm like for, and I will do that on my page. I will be like, read this book. I loved it. That's as far as I go. That's my rating. Like I'm like, just do it.
And I
like,
think that's fine because if you've got like a big enough following, and I'm small time, but like if you've got a big enough, I need to talk about more books that I read.
yeah.
But I think like I haven't like so far this year I haven't read like a ton of I think like book talk books. You know what I mean? And the ones that I have read are ones that I love and my friends have written them and I've talked about those. But I don't know that anybody wants to hear about like Deanna Raybourne's Killers of a Certain Age or
Sure they do. They do. They do. Believe it or not,
for everything.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm reading the October Day series now. So
yeah. And if you have a book that you can compare it to that like is a fan fave, like that will like blow up. Like they don't even care. They'll just like if you can compare. So I'm really into dark romance.
Right.
I'm really, really, really into dark romance.
I might need to get some Rex from you then.
Yes.
Oh, I got Rex. I got them stacked. So anyway, I'm really, really into that. And like, so I'll compare books. Recently I read That Sick Love from Jesse Hall.
Okay.
That blew up on TikTok. But a lot of people compared it to Haunting Adeline, and I think that's what blew up her book. Because they compared it to Zaid from Haunting Adeline in H.D. Carlton's book.
Okay.
I don't see the comparison.
Okay.
But that is what put her on the map. Is just because she compared a book that was really, really popular on Book Talk. And like, I guess I had some similar, but not a lot. There was not really, I didn't see it. I was like, this was not it, but that's what put her on the map. So if you can find anything that's even similar and be like, you should read this because I read this and it's similar, it'll blow up.
Yeah.
They won't care. They'll be
Killers
like,
Killers of a Certain Age isn't like a romance. It isn't a dark romance. It's actually a book about 4 retirement age lady assassins.
That sounds awesome.
It's a great book who are retiring and they discover that their own company that they've been working for are trying to assassinate them. So they have to figure out like what's going on and who's behind it and basically off everyone else.
So it's believable.
What's the name of this book? I'm writing it down.
Killers of a Certain Age.
Killers of a Certain Age.
Yep,
that actually is a really good title too.
Yeah, by Deanna Raybourne, and it's really good. She writes the Veronica Speedwell books. If you
Deanna
Raybourne without an E at the end. Yeah, they're really. I loved this book. I think I read it in I started it on a Saturday and finished it on Sunday.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like such a unique book that I had to write it down. Like I had to. I had no choice. Like
you won't find it on KU, but you should be able to get it out of the library because I got it out of the library.
Nice.
I'll find a way to find it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and she's Gen X, so she's I think a little older than me. And the ladies are like in their 60s, and they're still in there. They're assassinating people at their age.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. I do want to ask something that we ask all the authors on here. What advice would you give to a first-time author, a new author, someone that wants to become an author?
Write the book.
That's always what they say.
Write the book. Write the book.
Just right.
And the rest will come. But like find community.
I like that one.
Find your people on TikTok. Find a Discord. Like when I joined the Romance Riot, I was actually thinking about maybe not writing anymore because I just felt very alone and very isolated. And then I found my community there. And their support, like they're people that will support you. They will give you tough love. You know, you can find like people who will help you beta read and editors and ARC readers and all kinds of stuff like that. So write the book, but also find your people, find your community, because they will help you. And never be afraid to ask questions, even if you think it's stupid.
No, that's great advice. Like, I can get behind that.
Well, that's why you need to get Discord, Dawn.
I know, that's the only thing. Like, okay, so I just mastered TikTok. Like,
come to the Romance Riot Discord. Come to us. Come to
I
us,
will
Dawn.
go to you.
Come to us, Dawn. Come to us, Dawn.
Be one of us. Be one of us, Dawn.
One of
We're
us.
waiting.
One of us.
We're waiting.
Do you have any questions, Dawn?
I had a bunch.
You like lost them in the drink.
Okay, I am tipsy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
Lost them in the sauce.
If it makes you feel better, I'm now drinking as well.
Oh, good.
We love that.
One of us. One of us.
A podcast where I can drink? Okay.
Exactly. That's why we love it here.
That's how we started it. We're like, how can we drink on a schedule?
Exactly.
Not be shamed for it. Like, if we're doing it anyway, we might as well make a game out of it. What made you choose your genre?
It's what I liked reading. It's what I had started to like reading, paranormal and urban fantasy. And I think it allows for a lot more freedom. I had tried to write contemporary, and I've written a little contemporary. I've tried to write historical back in like my 20s. There's only like one historical I can get into. Like, yeah, it's the thing that stuck. It's the thing that I like to read. And, you know, with the Demons of Paris series, it takes place in Paris. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can make it whatever I want because they're demons, and I like that.
Demons are hot. Let's face it, they're hot.
They are.
But going back to your historical thing, I gotta say, TikTok with their Bridgerton series, that's the only thing that got me into historical romances. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I couldn't get it. I have tried.
I understand. I don't read a lot of historical anymore. I read the Bridgerton series years and years ago. My favorite historical is a book by Julie Garwood that came out, I think, when I was like graduating high school in the late 80s, called The Bride. Okay. And I still reread it like every few years. And it's still, for me, it still holds up. And not a lot of books that I read in my teenage years and early 20s do. Kat Sebastian also writes a lot of great historicals, but she writes LGBTQ historicals, which are wonderful. Courtney Milan is a great historical writer as well. And she is very much like, diversity is very important to her. I also think we owe one of the emojis to her, either poop or a dinosaur. I can't remember which one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want an emoji dedicated to me.
Weird things I know. Yeah, apparently she's the one who like lobbied for either poop or a dinosaur. I think I just can't remember which one it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know a question that like Jessica normally likes to ask: plotter or pantser?
Pantser.
I assumed pantser, which is kind of why I was like, you know, I could probably read this because, like, just the fact that she's like, whenever I have an idea, I kind of like write it down, you know, that kind of thing. Pantser. I was like, pantser, yes.
Somebody was reading one of my Vela stories for me, and, you know, because I was trying to figure out if I should keep doing it. It was a Hades Persephone thing. And they were like, you should do it. Like, she's like, I'm dying to see where it goes. And I was like, me too. I have no idea.
I don't know. It's just going to do its thing. Like, whatever happens.
Like, Demon's Guardian was supposed to be one of the characters, Matthew. It was supposed to be his book. But, like, I started to, like, do other things in the book. And I was just like, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just make it, like, a novelette. And then it ended up to be, and then it was too long for a novella. It's a short novel because I just started cramming plot in.
It just happened.
I was like, well, this took on a life of its own. I guess book 3 will be Matthew's book. Sorry, Matthew. You need to wait.
Characters don't stay in their own lane. They don't.
They don't.
They just are like, you know what, Mom? this is what we're doing. We grew up. We were your baby, and now this is what's happening. And it just makes it so. And sometimes it turns into a series. It just they don't care about what you feel.
In my head, Anya and Declan have sex about 100 pages later than they actually end up having sex in the book.
Shit happens. They were really into it. They were.
I was like, that's not what you were supposed to do. Stop it.
What's supposed to happen? Like, behave yourselves.
Exactly. Keep it in your pants, dude. Come on.
Okay.
Like, no.
I have one last question,
Okay.
and it's just: do you have any rituals or anything that like gets you in the mood to write? I know you said you had to like basically schedule it wherever you can find time.
Yeah, it's true. I don't have any rituals. I don't watch TV and I don't listen to music when I write. I listen to ambient sounds so that I don't get distracted.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have kind of rules. Like I have to write at least for half an hour. It's like when I exercise, I have to do both for at least half an hour.
Yeah.
And if it's still working, I keep going. If it's not, it's okay to quit. I'd rather have 200 words than nothing at all.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I just try to be disciplined about it, and I schedule it, but I don't have any specific rituals. I just make sure that like I've exercised already and I've had dinner and there's nothing else going on to distract me.
That makes sense. Like, you know, like you need a blank brain, sort of, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Where you have nothing that's going to bother you, that is going to disrupt your creativity. It's just
exactly.
So you can just do what you need to do.
Exactly. Like I was lucky enough that I actually ended up writing a lot of words today. So I was very happy about that.
Oh, that's great.
So now I know that like for the rest of the evening, if I want to read, I'm just going to read because I've gotten almost 3,000 words written today. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You can do it guilt-free.
Exactly. Because I will feel guilty if I'm reading and I haven't written anything.
And Jessica, no, I haven't written today. I'm sorry. Don't punish me.
I mean, I assumed you
no
haven't.
judgment.
Yeah.
No judgment.
I've had a hectic week. Okay.
I know. That's why I haven't been on your ass this week as much because I know your life, Dawn.
Yeah.
So this was not a writing week. You can hop on that horse next week.
I was sick this week, so there were a few days I didn't write because I just didn't feel well.
Yeah, I was all over the place. Bum knee, broken tooth. It was like literally anything that could happen did happen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And then, my husband was like, you know what? Let's go on a date. And I was like, that sounds great, but what the fuck are you going to take me? That's going to like not kill me. Like,
you went to a buffet, so you had options.
See, that's awesome. Yeah, see, if somebody says to me, like, do you want to go out and have dinner? And if I was planning on writing, I'm going out and having dinner with my friends.
Right? Food comes first, always.
Always.
I don't even care.
Always.
I don't care what's going on with my life. If you present food to me, I'm taking that.
If brunch is happening, I'm going to brunch.
I love brunch.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Mimosas and, like, Eggs Benedict.
Right?
It's just too, it's a marriage.
Agreed.
Well, I want to thank you, Lori-Anne, for coming on Opinionated Lushes and doing a reading for us. This was fun.
This was a lot of fun.
This was very fun. Yeah, and I'm pretty buzzed, I'll be honest. So I'm trying to remember all my outro points.
I'm pretty I'm pretty shit faced. Let's not lie here.
Did you say out shitted? Like what was that? What was that line? I'm pretty shit faced. What was that?
Guys, I'm going to bed after this.
Okay, Lori, if you want to plug any of your socials or where people can find your books, now is the time to do so.
Great. So you can find me on Amazon, Lori-Anne Cohen. I'm in KU. I'm on Instagram and TikTok at LA Cohen Writes. Come join us on the Romance Riot Discord. If you're a reader or a writer, we're not just romance, I promise. And on Facebook, I'm Lori-Anne Cohen author, I think. Yeah, Lori-Anne Cohen author. I'm reading it at the bottom of the screen. Yay, me!
Well, and we'll have links to all of that in the description below. So if you're listening to this, that's where you can find links right away.
Yes. Plus the link that's at the bottom. It's just going by. That's
we just want to remind you who's on.
Exactly. Yeah. Read my book so I can buy more mimosas.
Yes.
Please.
We all need mimosas here.
Yes.
Well, Thank you so much, Lori, and thank you so much for everyone
you.
that's been listening. And we'll see you next week with the next author. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.